This episode of the Nerd Corporation podcast may contain spoilers and explicit language. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, this is Barry Bostwick. Talk about nerds. I played a very famous nerd named Brad Majors in the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and you're listening to Nerd Corp, and it's a podcast. And please, keep listening.
Welcome to the Nerd Corporation.
What up, everybody? It's Thursday, so you know what that means.
Halfway through No Nut November.
I didn't make it. I was Kramer in that Seinfeld episode. I'm out.
Isn't it squeezing all the melons at Walmart Day?
They do get nice produce.
They do.
There.
Watermelons is what I'm.
Oh yeah.
Those two.
Yeah.
I think it's nickel shots at O'Houlihan's.
Nickel shots at O'Houlihan's?
Yeah.
Nice. Let's do it. But none of those things are true. It is podcast day. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 13, Retromania 3, Great Scots and Gigawatts, where we talk about the Back to the Future franchise. This is a franchise that is very near and dear to my heart. I have loved Back to the Future and anything therein, since I was a little kid.
I have to ask you this question. Given the fact that this was all your idea, why is the first one called Back to the Future? Because they haven't.
He's trying to get back to
because
the future.
the whole point isn't that they went back in time. The whole point is that Marty can't get back
To
so it's
1985.
back to the future because he's trying to get back.
Because I was thinking about it before I sat
conflict.
down and watched it. And I'm like, they haven't been to the future. You have to go to the future, then go back to it.
Yeah.
So they're in 1955 trying to get to the future, which is 1985.
Yeah.
Back to the Future.
What an awesome movie.
Right? It's one of those, and it holds up.
It's kind of meh. I'm just kidding.
I mean, the thing is that I haven't seen any of these movies.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I watched the first one this morning.
How did you feel?
I loved it. I thought it was great. I am now a fan.
Yeah,
I
good
think
boy.
I've always heard great things, and I've always seen it lampooned and in popular, in pop culture. So I've always kind of known about it. I've just never, you know what I mean?
It's honestly in my top 5 favorite movies.
I can. And the thing is I can definitely see that. I can see it being top 5 for a lot of people.
Wait until you see the other two. It's gonna be a nice ride for
right
you.
on. I already have the Blu-ray set coming.
Do you really?
Yeah, I bought all 3 of them.
Yeah, what a badass.
Well, they're awesome movies.
We'll have to binge them together.
Yeah,
for
hell
sure.
yeah, hell yeah.
Do viewing parties.
Cuddle,
Yeah, cuddle.
have some pizza.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Have some lobster, maybe some sex. See where things go.
Or we could play a game.
Yeah,
Just a tip, just for a minute.
just to
See
see
how
how
it
it
feels.
feels.
We could turn off all the lights and play Who's in My Mouth.
Let's get on with the nerd news. What do we got, guys?
This article was from the 9th, but it's kind of a ways away back, and this kind of makes me sad because I had this game when it came out on PlayStation 4. I bought the Windows Edition on Steam, and the Windows Edition came with everything, so I was getting all the stuff as it came out.
Uh-huh.
But one of the directors for Final Fantasy 15 has just up and quit. The DLC was canceled, so this game, I don't think, really has anything else going for it.
So
It makes me
here's
sad.
where I stand. I'm a huge fan of that game. It wasn't as good as it could have been, but it's still that's still kind of saying a lot though, because this game was a mess. I talked about it a little bit on a previous cast, but this game was originally, so we're talking about Final Fantasy 15 here, right? This game was originally known as Final Fantasy Versus 13, and it was under direction by my favorite person in the world, Mr. Tetsuya Nomura, who's also directing Kingdom Hearts 3, which he came out and said, I hate this guy so fucking much.
I love him, but I hate him.
He comes out and like I love him because he created Kingdom Hearts, and that's pretty much it. You know, like and and I love his art. Like I think he's a seriously talented artist. I think he's just a fucking horrible director because he just doesn't know what to do at all. So he came out and he was like, "Oh yeah, you know that game that I announced in 2015 called Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'm gonna get real serious about that as soon as I'm done with Kingdom Hearts 3." And it's like, good. I'm glad you announced it 3 years ago. We'll see that game in 2022. Like, what? I hate you, Tetsuya Nomura. I know you're listening. Fuck you.
Fuck you, Tetsuya Nomura.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
Fuck you.
You know, and it's like, so he was doing Final Fantasy 13, which was it was originally supposed to be a 13 spinoff.
Oh, okay.
You know, so there was Final Fantasy 13. Is it called 13-2?
13-2, and then I think there's Lightning or maybe Lightning.
It's the third game. It's like a trilogy, and it's called Lightning Returns. Yeah. So those were all under Nomura, and then all of a sudden they like gave him the okay to. And the thing is like it's the Cristola Fabulous. I don't know. There's some term behind it, like in terms of like its ethos.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know where it was supposed to go because apparently it was part of the 13 universe. But so why this guy's so cool? This guy that is resigning. His name is Hajime Tabata, right? So he came in and basically took this sinking ship and turned it into a video game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know about you. Did you play 15?
I did.
You played 15. Did you try 15? It's a really good game.
It's a great game. I had a lot of fun with that game.
It's kind of... It has its issues, for sure. I feel like it's a tale of two different video games because the game, like... There's, like, that huge open world part, which I felt like is the best part of that game. And then it just comes to, like... The plot just comes to, like, a screeching halt. And in terms of, like, gameplay and stuff. Like, that corridor... like sneaking shit where you don't have all your weapons and shit. Yeah. I'm like, this sucks. You're like punishing the player for this. So I feel like that's kind of Nomura's vision and all that. Is like it had that part and they couldn't cut it because it was essential to the plot. Wow. So I don't know. This really sucks because he's a great director and I feel like I'm definitely going to be looking at his next work because he's really good.
Well, yeah, and it was supposed to come out next March and I was on board because I had the Windows edition that already came with everything. Yeah. So I was like, okay, you know, when I had first heard about it, and then they posted that he had resigned and the DLC was canceled. I was just like,
they did this all during a live stream too. Yeah, like this is the most depressing live stream I've ever seen.
Yep.
Sorry.
And all of the DLC being canceled. Let's get something abundantly clear. Okay. 15 came out in 2000. Was it 2016? At the end of the year. Why were we still making DLC for this game? Why? So that they came out and they said they're finishing the one that they're already on, the episode Arden, which focuses on the bad guy of the game. Thank God that it's over. Stop making DLC. Every time I heard news about this game getting more DLC, I'm like, why? Just let it die. Stop. Move on to the... Like, they're obviously working on 16. Focus on that. Like, oh my God. It hurt. It hurt. Every time I saw it, I'm like, you're just pulling it out of the grave again and again and again. No one's playing this shit. Stop.
I was playing it.
I was...
So,
I don't know. I'm definitely excited for whatever he's going to be doing next, for sure.
Okay, so we posted this on the Facebook page earlier in the week, but definitely wanted to go over it. The strategy guide maker Prima Games is closing.
Oh,
what a bummer.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it has a lot to do with the fact that people don't do things in print anymore.
It's more of a collector's item.
Yeah,
now.
I mean, like there are certain. I mean, like for certain novels and things like that, I'm sure people still are willing to buy paper. But things like that, like I feel like people are just going to go onto YouTube or something like that.
I remember just going to like Hastings, our local like entertainment store that we used to have here, and just like thumbing through all the strategy guides, like because it was either because I couldn't afford to buy one because they were like $20 or whatever, or I just needed to see where to go in a game. I just like look through it while it's at the store, but like I would just look through them. I'd look through the ones of games that I hadn't even played, and just to kind of get an idea of what they were like. So the
strategy guides are kind of a lost art. In my opinion. I still have. It's not a Brady Games one, but I still have my original one my first one that I ever bought, and it was the one for Final Fantasy VII. Nice. That was a Brady Games one, but it still stands. Like that used to be a big thing for sure.
There are some EGM reports that some of the sites, the Roseville site will close first sometime in the next several weeks. New York after that, and Indianapolis is expected to not go until like March of next year.
I wonder what. So does that mean that they're finishing up on a game, or?
I mean, that's what I would expect.
I wonder what game it is. Kingdom Hearts. You said in March?
Yeah, March. Like, so that's pretty specific.
That comes out in January, so that's really
close. January. There's Kingdom Hearts. There's Resident Evil 2. There's that Sekiro game from Software.
Like, how quickly do they come out?
They're usually day and date with games.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they usually are. With strategy guides, especially on big titles like that. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like Kingdom Hearts and Resident Evil, those are big titles that you're going to want to make as much money on day one as possible. So I would imagine that those are day and date.
Well, and especially, I think a whole other side of it, too, is the fact that, back in the day, games didn't really hold your hand through...
God, not at all.
So
back when the internet wasn't a thing.
Exactly.
As much as it is today.
Now there are tutorials for everything, where back before it was just like, here's the game.
Well, the reason why
Let's see how you do with it.
Yeah, the reason why I loved it so much is like it was the secret shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the shit that you don't really find during the game, Like, I would have never have known that you can get the secret Hadouken move in Mega Man X if it wasn't for a strategy guide. You know what I mean? Like there's no way.
But now for me, it's just like I still have like almost every Game Informer magazine that I've ever received. Like
really?
Almost. I have I have like a stack of them in my basement, like this big, just because they're good quality magazines, and I can't bring myself to throw them out, But so I never really got a lot of strategy guides. But I was gonna say for me now, it's just like, for example, in Red Dead Redemption 2, when I was like, okay, I gotta find out where the White Arabian horse is, and I just Googled it, and it's like, here's the map, here's where it is. I'm like, okay, we're good.
Yeah, I think with the invention of the internet, a strategy guide is not. I wouldn't say not as coveted, but I mean it's really
slightly obsolete. Like, just the format.
Yeah,
there might still be a good chunk of people that like want to get the print and look through it, because it gives you every detail in every part of the game,
but not enough to be a money making venture.
That's why I was looking at the Red Dead guide, is because like I just want more Red Dead.
Did they do the Red Dead one, or
I don't know if they did or not. It's
you gotta buy it if they did, because that's gonna be a collector's item now.
Oh yeah.
Where the hell is my Amazon app?
All the buying you do on that shit, you should probably already.
I don't really buy that much anymore because it's by a company called Piggyback.
Oh. Piggybacking on the close of Prima Games, I see.
They got rid of the discount for pre-ordering games. So I'm like, why would I ever order from Amazon again?
That's why we did, yeah.
You remember, because I got the collector's edition for Gears of War 4, and I remember that's the biggest discount I ever got, because it was a $250 collector's edition, and I got it for $50 off.
That's amazing.
So It's kind of a bummer. I mean, I never really looked at them a lot more than just a collector's item.
I remember when I went through that whole Amazon debacle when I got my additional copy of Red Dead 2.
Yeah.
The charge on my account from Amazon was for it was the basic copy, and it's $47.99. It wasn't like $63.
So they're shutting it down. So you had it pre-ordered back when that was.
Okay.
So they held up the deal.
Oh,
so
okay.
Now you can't pre-order them.
Gotcha.
But any game that you had pre-ordered beforehand. So like the copy that I've had pre-ordered for Kingdom Hearts 3 that I've had pre-ordered for 17 years now. It'll be I would get the discount on that, but
Gotcha.
I don't know. It sucks, but it's definitely the end of an era. But
I don't know. I thought the same thing.
I don't know.
Stop. I don't know. I did kind of want to, as quickly as this is going to be, talk about the announcements at the newly annual Xbox trade show, whatever it was.
First annual Xbox experience.
Let's see, 2-day fan fest.
Xbox-erience.
Xboxy?
XO18.
Oh.
Hug and kiss 18.
Wow.
What a day it was.
Wow.
Wow.
Upcoming games and DLC. Let's take a gander, shall we?
And done.
I've seen all I need to see.
Probably the most exciting of it. Microsoft finally bought Obsidian Entertainment. Most notably known for
New Vegas.
Yeah, New Vegas for sure. That's the biggest one for me. But they're also huge for this game called Pillars of Eternity.
Oh, it's such a good game too.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
They bought that and another game company called In Exile. I've never heard of them.
They were just in exile the whole time.
Yeah, exactly.
I kind of hope this means that
That's a big fucking deal, though. Them getting that
I have
studio.
the first Pillars of Eternity. I haven't played all the way through it because it's a little bit lengthy and it doesn't super hold my attention very well. But when I start playing it, I get back into it,
Yeah.
But I hope they, because I know they brought it on PS4, and I hope that means an Xbox version of it too. Now that Microsoft has it.
I mean, I would imagine, dude. Xbox is on the rise. If you're sleeping on Xbox, don't.
It would be very uncomfortable. You'll hurt your back.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of corners and sharp edges.
Yeah.
Crackdown 3 finally gets a release date.
Okay, check this out. There is the trial.
Sleepless nights.
Check this out. The trial is available on Xbox Game Pass right now.
Have
The
you tried
campaign. It's downloading right now. I haven't tried it yet, but
I can't tell you how
Was Terry Crews in
flaccid penis I am about
I'm curious. I'm curious because every other Crackdown has let me crack down.
Yeah.
So to speak. But I'm curious as to at least see what this one plays like. So I'm just I'm not buying the game.
When that game got announced, they were talking big swinging dick about this cloud-based rendering where it was we can make the entire game and render it over the cloud. And it's nobody fucking wants that. Nobody wants that at all.
Dick sock soft.
As soft as it possibly can. Really.
Charmin soft.
This blanket right here? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Game Pass gets more free games. There's already 100 games on Xbox Game Pass, but they announced 16 more. They're all really fucking lame games that no one's gonna play.
I better get an Xbox just so that I'm not such a dick against the Xbox.
I wonder how Cole feels about this.
I mean, it looks like PUBG got added to Game Pass, which I guess is cool, but
It is
game runs like fucking garbage on
awful
Xbox.
I got it because they're doing this weekend. It's part of their free gold plays or whatever, and I was ill playing the game on Xbox, because maybe if I had started on Xbox and then gone to PC, been this is way better. Yeah. But I started on PC Master Race, and I went to Xbox. I started there, and then I went to Xbox, and I'm just this rendering. Ugh.
Dismissive wanking gesture.
Yeah, exactly. Biggest news for our friend Nick Lewis here. Keyboard and mouse support for Xbox One is heading to Fortnite.
Oh my god, where are we dropping, boys?
Jonesy, where we dropping?
360 no scope.
I guess there's people out there excited about this, but whatever.
There's people out there that are excited about the NFL skins on Fortnite. Like, come on.
Jesus Christ, they are.
Like the commercial that I saw for it was just all the characters in Fortnite. The camera backed up. They were wearing football jerseys, and they're all doing their shitty little dances. And I was just like,
Wow.
Who did Ray Rice play for?
I don't know. I don't watch football.
Yeah, I don't remember.
it was the Chicago Bulls, I believe.
Touchdown! Boy, that LeBron James sure can swing a bat.
Oh man, that was a pop fly
No.
in the end zone.
Sports ball.
Do the thing.
Yeah, move the thing to the other thing.
Wasn't it Average Joe's Gymnasium?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was.
It was
average
either
shit.
that or Globo Gym. I can't remember.
Yeah, might have been Globo Gym.
Yeah, fuck Globo Gym.
The Final Fantasy 13 games are
traded.
coming to backwards compatibility. That's cool for the people that love those games.
Oh yeah.
Oh, what else, Microsoft?
That's it. There's Microsoft. There's not much else.
Oh,
Dick Microsoft.
why? Like, and they're also talking about the fact that a bunch of Final Fantasy games are coming to Xbox. It's like,
Yeah.
that wasn't your announcement. Shut up.
No, that was what the wasn't that like
Square
a Nintendo
Enix's?
or was it a Square Enix announcement? Because a lot of those are just
I don't
going to
even
the
remember.
Switch.
Yeah, that was the big thing for me is that
And
they're
that's,
coming to Switch.
Rock hard dick right there.
Dick rock hard.
Like, as hard as it can. Like, I was worried.
My dick is Dwayne the Rock Johnson
I
hard.
was about to,
Diamond in an ice storm.
I had to call my doctor because it lasted more than 5 hours. Rare continues to expand its pirate adventure with the new Sea of Thieves player versus player update called The Arena. God, you couldn't pay me to give a fuck about this.
Played it on the Game Pass for a day. Literally a day. And that's all it took.
They
mean,
should rename it Flaccid Penis Conference.
I don't know, man. I'm Winston Zedmore. If you pay me, I'll believe whatever the fuck you want.
Just Cause 4 proves there's a storm coming. Oh my god. Fucking article is this? Something about Just Cause
Cream of the
4.
crop. Cream of the crop. Cream of the crop. Ain't nothing better.
My favorite of that video, just to touch on that a little bit, is when he puts a thing of creamer in Mean Gene's suit's pocket. Just like,
Cream of the crap.
For-
I watched this with my friend Neil the other day, and we were watching it, and Mean Gene was just talking, and then off screen you just hear him go, "Nothing means nothing." And he comes, like, what is that even?
Forza Horizon 4 expansion
All right.
talks about bringing thunder. New weather system. Why is this newsworthy for them at all?
I mean, I like the game, but I'm good with what I have. But expansions won't really.
I'm just
sway
trying to
me.
say that it's like, does this really merit a conference? Like, just turn it into a fan fest. Like you could tell that they're really trying to do what PlayStation is doing, and it's just not working.
Xbox is on the rise. Is any of this newsworthy?
Yeah.
No, now that I have both systems again, I can play light and dark now.
I feel like Xbox is keeping a lot of their cards close to their chest because they want to make a big splash with their new console. You know what I mean? So it's like, when you're coming out and you're doing this shit, and obviously I feel like this is just kind of spur of the moment. Like, they're just talking about shit to talk about it.
Just like stuff that they could have just waited to announce.
Exactly. You know, like, and I like genuinely do think that Xbox is on the rise.
But
the thing is that they're keeping everything that's like super.
They didn't need
close to their
to
chest.
organize something for all this news.
Yeah, this was like something that you could have posted on Facebook.
Yeah.
Like a blog post.
Yeah.
Yeah. They talk more about Devil May Cry, which I'm super pumped for that game. Like I like.
Yeah,
really
I love the Devil May Cry series.
Have you seen?
So, if any of you out there in the corporation want to buy me an Xbox, you can do that.
How did you?
Don't anybody do that. Don't anybody.
Jump Force.
Nobody listen to Derek.
No, don't enable him. Don't enable him.
What would you play on an Xbox?
On an Xbox, I'd try Gears.
Himself.
I've never played any of the Gears games.
Get the fuck out.
I've never played any Gears game.
Go get an Xbox.
It literally at this point, every single Gears of War is on Game Pass right now. It's like $10 a month.
It's $10 a month, yeah.
And you can play. Like that's why I still have my Xbox, pretty much.
There was a couple other things, but like, I just wanted to show how fucking pointless the showcase part of this fan fest was.
Yeah.
Because it was really, really, really lame. But that's pretty much it.
Well, that'll do it for news.
That'll do.
That'll do it.
Little dabble do ya?
A little doodle daddle doodle,
Turned into the Walmart yodeling kid for a minute.
That's the news. Now on to the subject of the evening, Back to the Future. Let's kick it off with Back to the Future 1.
Back to the Future.
We're gonna sing it. We're just gonna sing all our parts.
Back to the Future, the 1985 American science fiction film.
Directed by Robert Zemeckis, written by Zemeckis and Bob Gale.
It stars Michael J. Fox as teenager Marty McFly.
Who accidentally traveled back to 1985.
Where his mom wants to fuck him.
And he almost lets her.
Just about. Back to the Future is a 1985 American science fiction film directed by Robert Zemeckis and written by Zemeckis and Bob Gale. It stars Michael J. Fox as a teenager, Marty McFly, who accidentally travels back in time to 1955, where he meets his future parents and becomes his mother's romantic interest.
Wait, so you're telling me this is fiction?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Right?
Christopher Lloyd portrays the eccentric scientist Dr. Emmett Doc Brown, inventor of the time-traveling DeLorean, who helps Marty repair history and return to 1985.
After he fucks it up.
I just want to mention that speaking of when we were doing or talking about John Mulaney, his bit about Back to the Future. Well, I mean, we thought it would be funny if he,
tried to fuck his mom. No, like ever since we said we were going to do this episode, that's all I've been thinking about is the John Mulaney thing.
Shout out to John Mulaney.
Which, by the way,
we know you're listening.
By the way, though, like, I mean, clearly the pervert apple doesn't fall far from the tree because he bumps into his dad while he's stalking his mom.
Yeah.
No,
So,
he's just peeping on some random lady.
well, yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, it's not like he hasn't been there before. That's why he has fucking binoculars.
Yeah.
He knows what's going down.
He's got his kid.
That's a regular Saturday night thing. So, like, he is straight up stalking that bitch.
That shit was funny. One of the other kids is in...
Well, yeah, because he says another. How many kids are falling out of trees in front of your car?
And I want to know how fly that lady is, because if you got more than one peeping Tom,
Yeah.
you got it
Everybody,
going.
I mean,
everybody got to take shifts.
Yeah.
I mean,
unknown-
are we being honest though, she's hot as hell
Oh, she is.
in this movie,
Yeah.
for sure.
Who, Leah Thompson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She can get it.
Any day of the week.
week.
But only if she wants to, because we at the Nerd Corporation are pro-consent.
So, Zemeckis and Gale wrote the script after Gale wondered whether he would have befriended his father if they had attended high school together. Film studios rejected it until the financial success of Zemeckis romancing the stone. Zemeckis approached Steven Spielberg, who agreed to produce the project at Amblin Entertainment, with Universal Pictures as distributor. Fox was the first choice to play Marty, but he was busy filming his TV series Family Ties, and Eric Stoltz was cast instead. After the filmmakers decided he was wrong for the role, a deal was struck to allow Fox to film Back to the Future without interrupting his television schedule. And good God, was Eric Stoltz wrong for the role.
He was so bad.
It was so so awful.
So
And
bad.
he was like an 80s darling, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
And he had been in good things. Like, I saw some test footage from it, and oh my God, it was stiff
awful
and painful and just unbelievable. Like, you could not, like, there's just no way you could see him in this role.
No.
You know, I don't have any nostalgic ties to this movie at all. So, you know, when I like
it was objectively bad.
Like, when I critique it, I can't see... I really liked Michael J. Fox.
Oh, yeah.
I really liked him a lot, for sure.
It's amazing. And
Dude, he was good in anything that he did. Like, I watched the shit out of Spin City.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Spin City was great.
A lot. Like him and Barry Bostwick was the mayor. And
dude, Barry Bostwick is the fucking man. Shout out to Barry.
Yeah, shout out to Barry. He did the opening. If you guys listen to this episode's opening, Barry Bostwick.
What was the other guy's... is it... he was the voice of... I can't remember the kid's name, but it's one of the kids' dads on Big Mouth. Like...
Which one?
I think... What's the kid's name that... John Mulaney is the voice of?
Andrew,
yeah.
His dad's hilarious in that show.
Andrew!
Yeah.
Don't tell... Did Andrew eat one of my peach pits again? I was saving that.
I like to suck on him.
Dude, have you guys seen any of this season?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
I binge watched it all.
I haven't.
Me too.
I haven't watched all of it, dude. I just finished watching the one where Nick gets the new hormone monster.
Oh yeah.
The fucking horde comes out. It's like, oh God! Oh, nobody told me it would hurt this much.
Dude, that hormone monster gets fucking weird. Like,
it does.
Worse than the
really
other one. Who, if I didn't know that it was voiced by Nick Kroll, I would have thought it was fucking Will Arnett. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
like
yeah.
exactly like his voice.
Dude, that
What
whole
are you
show.
gonna do?
That show, Jordan Peele as the ghost of what's his face?
Duke Ellington.
Oh,
hey!
I was wondering who he was. Yeah.
That's Jordan
so
Peele.
funny.
And then Maya Rudolph is the female hormone monster.
Yeah.
Back to the Future was released on July 3rd, 1985, and it grossed over $381 million worldwide, becoming the highest-grossing film of 1985. It won the Hugo Award for Best Dramatic Presentation, the Saturn Award for Best Science Fiction Film, and the Academy Award for Best Sound Effects Editing. It received 3 Academy Award nominations, 5 BAFTA nominations, and 4 Golden Globe nominations, including Best Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy. In 2007, the Library of Congress selected it for preservation in the National Film Registry, and in June 2008, the American Film Institute's Special AFI's 10 Top 10 designated it the 10th best science fiction film. The film began a franchise including 2 sequels, Back to the Future Part 2 in 1989 and Back to the Future Part 3 in 1990, an animated series, theme park ride, and several video games.
Did any of you play the Telltale games?
I was gonna say, including the late great Telltale.
Dude,
series.
the Telltale game for Back to the Future was fucking pimp. It's fuck.
I never played that one.
Zemeckis and Gale set the story in 1955 because the math of a 17-year-old traveling to meet his parents at the same age required the script to travel to that decade. The era also marked the rise of teenagers as an important cultural element, the birth of rock and roll, and suburban expansion, which flavored the story.
There are other flavors too.
That just sounded like the era also marked the rise of teenagers.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah.
Bum, bum, bum.
They were smoking reefer cigarettes.
Marijuana cigarettes.
Reefers. In an early script, the time machine was a refrigerator, and Marty would need the power of an atomic explosion at the Nevada test site to return home.
Good Lord.
Zemeckis was concerned that children would accidentally lock themselves in refrigerators.
Good call. Good call.
Oh, shit.
And felt it was more useful if the time machine were mobile.
Well, yeah, because like, why lock yourself in something immobile when you could also kill others?
Yeah.
Why worry about a refrigerator when you could make the time machine a car that somebody could, say, get the keys to and drive as a kid, drive it 85 miles an hour, trying to go back in time.
Other pedestrians.
Yeah, right?
But the flux
Another damn kid jumped in front of the car.
The flux capacitor didn't
Capacitor.
fucking...
The flux capacitor.
It didn't work unless you killed 3 people on the way out.
Yeah.
The DeLorean DMC-12 was chosen because its design made the gag about the family of farmers mistaking it for a flying saucer believable.
Okay.
Zemeckis and Gale found it difficult to create a believable friendship between Marty and Brown before they created the giant guitar amplifier, and only resolved his Oedipal relationship with Marty's mother when they wrote the line, "It's like I'm kissing my brother." Biff Tannen was named after studio executive Ned Tannen, who behaved aggressively towards Zemeckis and Gale during a script meeting for I Wanna Hold Your Hand.
You know what?
Get out.
Fuck
Are you
you.
serious?
I'm writing you into the movie.
Dude, that's the best revenge, though.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
people do that shit all
What are you
the
looking
time.
at, butthead?
Because that guy saw the movie and went, hey, wait a minute, my last name is Tannen. You know, probably.
Wait,
I called them buttheads.
Yeah.
So, I read something or I watched something that Rick and Morty was...
Is a light spoof.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
of this movie.
Yeah,
Rick and Morty, Doc and Marty.
Yeah. Have you seen that god awful first show that he made? That I don't think it was Dan Harmon. It was the guy who does all the voices.
Justin Roiland.
Justin Roiland. Did you see his original sketch for Rick and Morty?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
horrifying.
awful. He had this like
You need to
internet.
suck my balls, Morty.
Yeah, he had this like internet show, and that's like I was reading into it. He had this like internet TV show or something like that, and like that's where his kind of successes just started kind of climbing. It was a weird show too.
I loved it though when this happened because all of that shit went down with what's his name? The guy that directed Guardians of the Galaxy.
James Gunn.
James Gunn. So like all of this controversy and then all these people started getting in trouble and then that short got dug up by Justin Roiland and and everyone was like trying to get him in trouble, but Adult Swim was like, we don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
We don't
Have
care.
you seen our channel?
Have you seen how much money we make off of Rick and Morty?
So, on the subject of the episode, have you seen any of Thomas Wilson's stand-up? Thomas Wilson is the guy who played Biff.
I haven't. No.
Okay, so for you guys and for anybody out there, of course, if you haven't seen this, go ahead and treat yourself. Look up on YouTube, Stop Asking Me the Question, and it's basically like all of these, it's just a song that he wrote and plays when he does stand-up about like all the questions that people hurl at him constantly, like, is Michael J. Fox nice? And how was it working with stuff? Like
Me
I
and
think I've
Derek,
seen
me
that,
and Derek had the pleasure
Yes.
of hearing it in person at
we did.
Comic-Con.
It was fabulous. I mean, I'd already heard it before, but it was so cool. So cool.
Michael J. Fox was the first choice to play Marty McFly, but he was committed to the show Family Ties. Family Ties producer Gary David Goldberg felt that Fox was essential to the show's success. Of course, I don't feel like this show would work without Michael J. Fox. I felt like he was perfect.
It wouldn't have. He was literally the like him and Christopher Lloyd were probably the two like anchors of that.
Yeah, I mean,
of course.
Michael J. Fox just has that, youthful, playful energy. Like he's got which is really interesting how he was kind of overall. He was kind of portrayed as like a cool or like a hip loser.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like he was cool as fuck. He's holding onto the back of the Jeep, waving at the
money.
waving at the women in the step class or whatever it was, and they're all waving back. Like he's cool as fuck. Like until he gets to school.
Yeah, and then he's a fucking loser.
Yeah, it's just crazy. And it worked really well.
Fucking way she goes.
With co-star Meredith Baxter on maternity leave, he refused to allow Fox time off to work on a film. Back to the Future was originally scheduled for a May 1985 release, and it was late 1984 when it was learned that Fox would be unable to star in the film. Zemeckis' next two choices were C. Thomas Howell and Eric Stoltz.
4 weeks into filming, Zemeckis determined Stoltz had been miscast.
Rightfully so.
Yes. Although he and Spielberg realized reshooting the film would add $3 million to the $14 million budget, they decided to recast. Spielberg explained Zemeckis felt Stoltz was not comedic enough and gave a terrifically dramatic performance. Gale further explained they felt Stoltz was simply acting out the role, whereas Fox himself had a personality like Marty McFly, which I totally agree with that.
Yeah,
I mean, that's,
absolutely.
Like, he embodied Marty McFly.
He really did.
So he felt Stoltz was uncomfortable riding a skateboard, whereas Fox was not. Stoltz confessed... Whoa! Stoltz confessed to director Peter Bogdanovich during a phone call 2 weeks into the shoot that he was unsure of Zemeckis and Gale's direction and concurred that he was wrong for the role.
Which, fucking thank God.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot better than Nicolas Cage would ever do, I think. I feel like Nicolas Cage would be like, there's still a paycheck, right?
Yeah.
Following Stoltz's departure, Fox's schedule during weekdays consisted of filming Family Ties during the day and Back to the Future from 6:30 to 2:30 a.m. He averaged 5 hours of sleep each night, and during Fridays he shot from 10 p.m. to 6 or 7 a.m., and then moved on to film exterior scenes throughout the weekend, as only then was he available during daytime hours. Fox found it exhausting, but, quote, "It was my dream to be in the film and television business, although I didn't know I'd be in them simultaneously. It was just this weird ride, and I got on," he said. Zemeckis concurred, dubbing Back to the Future the film that would not wrap. He recalled that because they shot night after night, he was always half asleep and the fattest, most out of shape and sick I ever was.
That's crazy.
So it was just this weird ride, and I got on. If I had $1 every time I heard that.
Every time you got on a weird ride.
The Hill Valley town square scenes were shot at Courthouse Square, located in the Universal Studios backlot. Gale explained it would have been impossible to shoot on location because, quote, "No city is going to let a film crew remodel their town to look like it's in the 1950s. The filmmakers decided to shoot all of the 50s stuff first and make the town look real beautiful and wonderful. Then we would just totally trash it down and make it all bleak and ugly for the 1980s scenes. The interiors for Doc Brown's house were shot at the Robert R. Blacker House, while exteriors took place at Gamble House. The exterior shots of the Twin Pines Mall and the later Lone Pine Mall from 1985 were shot at the Puente Hills Mall in City of Industry, California. The exterior shots and some interior scenes at Hill Valley High School were filmed at Whittier High School in Whittier, California. The Battle of the Bands tryout scene was filmed at the McCambridge Park Recreation Center in Burbank, and the Enchantment Under the Sea dance was filmed in the gymnasium at the Hollywood United Methodist Church. The scenes outside of the Baines house in 1955 were shot at Bushnell Avenue, South Pasadena, California.
Did you know the scene where his band is trying out to play the Enchantment Under the Sea dance? The judge is Huey Lewis.
Really?
That sings the song, fucking...
Don't take money.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the one, he's in the film as the judge.
That's pretty cool.
Telling them that they're just way too loud.
Yeah.
That's the guy. Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So he's playing... Like
You're just too loud.
They're playing his own song for him, and he's telling them no.
You're just too loud. That's awesome. Back to the Future Part 2 is a 1989 American science fiction film directed by Robert Zemeckis and written by Bob Gale once again. It is the sequel to the 1985 film Back to the Future and the second installment in the Back to the Future trilogy. The film stars Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd, Thomas F. Wilson, and Leah Thompson. In the plot, Marty McFly and his friend Dr. Emmett Doc Brown travel to 2015 where bully Biff Tannen steals Doc's DeLorean time machine and uses it to alter history for the worse. Jesus Christ, that's horrible.
Well, he is a bully. I mean, he's a piece of shit.
Yeah. The film was produced on a $40 million budget and was filmed back-to-back with its sequel, Part 3. Filming began in February 1989 after 2 years were spent building the sets and writing the scripts.
2 actors from the first film, Crispin Glover and Claudia Wells, did not return, while Elizabeth Shue was recast in the role of Wells' character, Jennifer. Glover's character, George McFly, was not only minimized in the plot, but also was obscured and recreated with another actor. Glover successfully sued Zemeckis and Gale, changing how producers can deal with departure and replacement of actors in a role. And the whole reason, from what I've seen, that he left in the first place was that he was not okay with the direction of the second, like the resolution of the second movie just seemed like immoral to him. Mm-hmm. And so he was like, no, this isn't cool. And so they got into a big fight over it. So kind of interesting.
I completely forgot that he was in it. Like,
yeah, he's his dad.
Yeah. Well, and like when I was watching it,
what?
When I was watching it, I was like, oh shit. I was like, is that Crispin Glover?
Fun tidbit: Crispin Glover is actually younger than Michael J. Fox.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so they had to make Crispin Glover look far older than him. Yeah,
no kidding.
Because they were only like 2 years apart, and Crispin Glover.
I hated him in the first movie. Like
just the weenie, like
yeah. I'm like, this guy is not a real person, like at all.
You're my density.
You are my density.
I mean, my destiny.
I mean, that guy, the past version of him is believable because he's just like a timid nerd, you know.
Yeah.
But the future of him is like, no, this isn't what a person is like. No one laughs like that unless they have Michael J. Fox syndrome. So,
Back to the Future 2 was also a groundbreaking project for effects studio Industrial Light and Magic. In addition to digital compositing, ILM used the Vista Glide motion control camera system, which allowed an actor to portray multiple characters simultaneously on screen without sacrificing camera movement.
Love that Vista Glide.
so
It feels so good when she Vista glides.
So in the beginning, it says that Steven Spielberg is tied to these movies. How?
Producer.
He's an
He's
executive
producer.
Yeah.
Okay. It just it never said anything about that, but I'm like, that's a big fucking name to put on your movie.
Especially back in the 80s where like names counted. Like, you know what I mean? Like where you couldn't just like go on an internet search and be like, oh, well, this guy's now my new favorite director.
Yeah.
Like these movies would come out and it'd be like, oh my God, that's Steven Spielberg. Everybody knows who Steven Spielberg
yeah,
is.
of course.
Yeah, especially with how big that name was. You know?
And it's all because back then, like, they didn't have stuff that people could just look up. Like, people, if they were like on the fence about a movie, they had to go see it.
Right.
If they wanted to know what it was about.
Right.
You
Like
know?
you couldn't just look up somebody's catalog, you know what
Yeah,
I mean? And just, you had to just word of mouth.
Yeah, and if you didn't go to other movies prior to it coming out, you wouldn't see any sort of trailer for it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, like you had to go, you had to be like a theater rat just to see
absolutely.
the stuff coming out.
Director Robert Zemeckis said that initially a sequel was not planned for the first film, but its huge box office success led to the conception of a second installment. He later agreed to do a sequel, but only if Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd returned as well. With Fox and Lloyd confirmed, Zemeckis met with screenwriting partner Bob Gale to create a story for the sequel. Zemeckis and Gale would later regret that they ended the first one with Jennifer in the car with Marty and Doc Brown, because it required them to come up with a whole new story that fit her, rather than a whole new adventure.
Like, oh shit.
Now we gotta do something else.
Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale are gangsters.
They are badass.
Because
The dream team.
Yeah, dude. Like I said this in an earlier cast, but Zemeckis and Gale were both approached about remaking Back to the Future, and Robert Zemeckis just boldly in their face said, "Over my dead body."
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yeah.
Like, and that was for remakes, that was for extra installments, anything. He was like, nah, fuck you.
Yeah, like, you'll fucking make a Back to the Future reinstallment over my fucking dead body.
Which is hilarious because that's exactly what happened with Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Did you ever hear about that?
No.
So, Roald Dahl or whatever the hell his name is, he came out and he actually like really, really hated that movie.
The first one? Or
So he had written the original script for the 71 movie.
Oh,
right?
okay.
And then I can't remember the guy that came in, but they didn't like it. Like they didn't like the script at all.
Too scary for kids,
So,
I bet.
so they had someone come in and rewrite it, and he was like, "I hate this. Like I hate this new script." So he kind of didn't really have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
Until, red carpet, and he's like, "Oh yeah, acting nice with everyone," And so when someone came up to him at a later date and said, "Hey, we have ideas of remaking it, with Tim Burton and all that," and he's like, "You can do it when I'm dead." Because I don't want you to do it at all.
Oh, wow.
And guess what? A year after he died, they made that movie.
Green light, boys!
Hey, you heard the man.
I watched that movie again the other day, by the way.
The new one or the old one?
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah. He just shakes his
Bro,
head
that
disapprovingly.
dude, the Oompa Loompas pissed me off the most because they just they took one guy, shrunk him, and then duplicated him.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm like, this sucks.
Duplicated.
I like the songs, but I'm like, it's a sore spot, man.
Wait, the original one?
The new one.
I was
The
gonna
new
say
one.
because the original one
They were
just-
little people.
I bought both of them on Blu-ray, and I started watching Willy Wonka, and I'm like, this is just as good. Like, there's nothing wrong with this movie at all.
Have any of you seen Snowpiercer?
I have heard the theories about it tying
apparently Snowpiercer is a continuation of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
What?
There's a YouTube video out. I suggest you watch it. It's kind of crazy. It makes me want to watch Snowpiercer.
Yeah.
Because it just kind of fits. You know what I mean?
Show?
It's a movie.
Oh, okay.
It's a movie with Chris Evans. But it's weird. It's weird. Like, I mean, there are some inconsistencies, of course, because of the fact that it's a theory. Yeah. But like, it makes sense for the most part. It's
weird.
That's crazy. I'll have to watch it on my way home.
I was gonna ask you, Eddie, when this whole thing that we just talked about, where it's like Zemeckis was basically just like, "Fuck you guys." Like, did they have to go to him to do the Telltale games?
I would imagine so.
But he let them do that.
I would imagine. Well, because
weren't they just a retelling of the story?
Yeah, he's just talking about additional movies.
So he doesn't want like a part 4.
Yeah, he doesn't want a part 4 or
like a reboot.
Because I mean, there were like, we'll read later on, but there were like comic books. There were novels that told more of the story. There were TV shows. I mean, there were things that they, of course, allowed to happen. But yeah, as far as like a Back to the Future 4 or a remake of Back to the Future, they're like,
gotcha. That makes sense.
Gale wrote most of the first draft by himself as Zemeckis was busy making Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Love it.
At first, the film was to take place in 1967, but Zemeckis later stated that the time paradoxes of it provided a good opportunity to go back to 1955 and see the first one's events in a different light. While most of the original cast agreed to return, a major stumbling block arose when negotiating Crispin Glover's fee for reprising the role of George McFly. When it became clear that he would not be returning, the role was rewritten so that George is dead when the action takes place in the alternative version of 1985.
That always works, doesn't it?
Yep.
He's dead. Yeah. He died.
One thing I love about these movies is how interconnected they are. Like, you know, usually movies about time travels that have like sequels and shit like that, they're really kind of just off. But this movie really, like, there's no stone unturned.
Well, and to me, that was so ingenious how they just kept going back to the same events and viewing them from different angles and doing different things.
Yeah,
it was so great.
I think that alone was just like what makes them my favorite is the fact that how
written no one had really done that.
No, absolutely not.
But I loved how there wasn't even a cursory mention of George McFly dying. Like, they just pretended like he never was there.
Yeah, man, that shit was cutthroat back in the day. It seems like if you screw people over, then they're like, you know, we gonna write you in you're getting your butt licked in a jail cell. Like, we're
gonna write you in as Biff Tannen.
His left butt cheek.
When writing the script for the film, Gale wanted to push the first one's idea further for the humorous effect. Zemeckis said that he was somewhat concerned about portraying the future because of the risk of making wildly inaccurate predictions. Makes sense. That's kind of one thing I was looking about the first movie. I was like, I feel like the butterfly effect would be way more prevalent.
Like, I mean, there are definitely inconsistencies,
and they simplified it, which I liked a lot for sure. According to Gale, they tried to make the future a nice place, quote, where what's wrong is due to who lives in the future as opposed to the technology, end quote, in contrast to the pessimistic Orwellian future seen in most science fiction. To keep production costs low and take advantage of an extended break Fox had from Family Ties, which was ending its run when the filming began, it was shot back-to-back with the sequel, Part 3.
It took 2 years to finish the set building and the writing on the script before shooting could finally begin. During the shooting, the creation of the appearance of the aged characters was a well-guarded secret, involving state-of-the-art makeup techniques. Michael J. Fox described the process as very time-consuming. Quote, it took over 4 hours, although it could be worse, end quote. Principal photography began on the 20th of February, 1989. For a 3-week period nearing the conclusion of the film, the crew split, and while most remained shooting Part 3, a few, including writer-producer Gale, focused on finishing its predecessor. Zemeckis himself only slept a few hours per day, supervising both films, having to fly between Burbank, where it was being finished, and other locations in California for Part 3.
Your life is so hard.
That's straight up G status.
Yeah, it is.
That would be daunting to have to do all of that. I can't imagine.
Seriously.
Zemeckis said on the film's behind-the-scenes featurette that the hoverboards, or the flying skateboards, used in it were real, yet not released to the public
Which is the best thing.
due to parental complaints regarding safety. Footage of, quote, real hoverboards, unquote, was also featured in the extras of the DVD release of the trilogy. A number of people thought Zemeckis was telling the truth and requested them at toy stores. In an interview, Thomas F. Wilson said that one of the most frequent questions he was asked was if they were real.
It's a joke! It's a joke!
Zemeckis, you wily son of a bitch.
Did you see that little... It was a video that was on the internet for a while that actually got people thinking again.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
With, I think it was Tony Hawk was in it,
Yeah.
and then, like, Christopher Lloyd showed up and was acting all like, oh my god, they're real. Like, you know.
Scott.
And it was just like a publicity stunt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it was very convincing.
It really
I'll say
was,
that.
dude. I thought they
weren't
were
they coming
too.
out with the shoes shortly
the
after that?
self-lacing shoes.
Wasn't that
Yeah,
what it was
yeah.
for?
Mm-hmm, yep. And then we got those stupid segways without handles. They called those hoverboards.
Yeah. They're not even hovering.
Yeah, it's not even a hoverboard.
It has wheels.
Yeah.
It's not hovering.
It's not a board.
You don't think the land speeder in Star Wars had wheels? Come on.
According to Zemeckis, the 2015 depicted in the film was not meant to be an accurate depiction of the future. Quote, for me, filming the future scenes of the movie were the least enjoyable of making the whole trilogy, because I don't really like films that try to predict the future. The only ones I've actually enjoyed were the ones done by Stanley Kubrick, and not even he predicted the PC when he made A Clockwork Orange. So rather than trying to make a scientifically sound prediction that we were probably going to get wrong anyway, we figured, let's just make it funny. End quote. Despite this, the filmmakers did do some research into what scientists thought may occur in the year 2015. Bob Gale said, we knew we weren't going to have flying cars by the year 2015, but God, we had to have those in our movie.
Well, how crazy.
Of course.
I just want to know, like, the feeling of, like, you know, you sit down, you make this movie, you go to what you think is 2015, and then 2015 actually comes around, and you're like, okay, this was not what I had imagined. Because,
Right.
like, nobody else was, like, trying to think of the year 2015, you know?
Right.
So,
Exactly.
I just want to know how that felt, you know?
And now here we are in 2018, we still don't have flying cars.
Nope.
Sons
We have
of
a
bitches.
cheat.
What are these scientists doing anyway?
Fuck your Teslas. Make
got
my
a,
Honda fly.
We got a scrotum dipped in Cheeto dust as our president.
We have our own Biff Tannen.
Yeah.
We do.
That's president.
Pretty much. That's scary to think about.
Holy
it really
shit.
is.
I'm gonna make a joke out of that.
I know the best buttheads. Best buttheads.
I have all the best
What
buttons.
are you looking at?
What are
Butthead.
you looking at, butthead?
This butthead here, he's huge. You know what? That's a real racist question.
That's a real. Oh my god.
hugest
Let's not
this
even.
butthead here.
the
He's huge.
hugest
He's
butthead.
huge.
Let's like not even get into that because that was like the hardest shit to watch. I don't understand what she's saying. I don't understand. It's like, really? Do you know who your wife is, pal? Do you understand her? Then you can understand these other people. Oh
They
my
don't
God.
talk.
Okay, I'll stop. I'll stop. Yeah,
They don't
exactly. She
talk.
doesn't talk. She doesn't talk in those walls at all.
Yeah, no, she's a prisoner.
She just goes to Egypt dressed up as the villain from Indiana Jones.
I'm surprised her face didn't melt off.
Holy God, that's fucking funny. I didn't even put those two together.
So
Holy shit.
She's like
This-
the wrinkly version of a Noxuna Moon from the
don't read this yet. So I think with Red Dead, you're going to be very pleased with what the third movie is.
It's a Western, yeah.
Yeah.
I know what the fucking third movie.
You haven't seen them.
I know about them. I just haven't seen them.
Okay.
So which one is the one that people don't like? Is it 2 or 3?
Do people not like one of them?
I know. I remember
The
I was-
less popular one.
yeah, like the
I think-
less
I think
popular one because
3
I know
is the
everyone
less-
loves the first one.
Yeah.
And then I've heard people talk about their love for 2 and 3, but I've also heard that people are like, "Oh, 2 fucking sucks," or "Oh, 3 sucks," and I
think 3 is probably the more likely one that people like less. I don't know why they would.
I love all
but
of them.
I think they're all awesome, but
I remember I had somebody in my close proximity tell me that it's like
you
they
should have
didn't-
slapped them.
They didn't like 2.
Well, definitely you should have slapped them.
I don't know. I haven't seen them, so I can't. I can't really say anything about it. Back to the Future Part 3 is a 1990 American science fiction western comedy film in the third and final installment of the Back to the Future trilogy. The film was directed by Robert Zemeckis and stars Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, Mary Steenburgen, Thomas F. Wilson, and Leah Thompson. The film continues immediately following Back to the Future Part 2. While stranded in 1955 during his time travels, Marty McFly discovers that his friend Dr. Emmett Doc Brown, trapped in 1885, was killed by Biff Tannen's great-grandfather Buford.
Like his name would be.
Buford.
I mean,
Biff and Buford.
What kind of a name is Biff?
What kind of name is Buford?
Buford I can understand, but Biff is something what happens when you crash on a skateboard. Like, oh, dude, I biffed.
Or like when Batman hits somebody.
Biff!
Biff!
Pow!
It's an airy punch.
Back to the Future Part 3 was filmed in California and Arizona and was produced on a $40 million budget back-to-back with Part 2. Part 3 was released in the U.S. on May 25th, 1990, 6 months after the previous installment. Part 3 earned $244.5 million worldwide, making it the 6th highest grossing film of 1990. The origins of the Western theme for Back to the Future Part 3 lie in the production of the original film. During filming for the original, director Zemeckis asked Michael J. Fox what time period he would like to see. Fox replied that he wanted to visit the Old West and meet cowboys. Zemeckis and writer-producer Bob Gale were intrigued by the idea, but held it off until Part 3.
I didn't even know that. Like, I didn't know that that was the catalyst for the third one.
He said he wanted to go back to visit cowboys.
And that's what they did. That's how much
now
pulled Michael J. Fox.
And now that's what all of us have been doing.
Right? With Red Dead Redemption. That's how low and steady Michael J. Fox's dick swings.
Yeah.
I just want to see cowboys. Okay, we'll make it.
All right, fuck it. Fuck it. We'll go back in time. We'll go back in time.
Fucking thing sucks.
I'll do it. I'll read it. Rather than use existing sets, the filmmakers built the 1885 Hill Valley from scratch. The western scenes were filmed on location in Monument Valley, and some of the location shooting for the 1885 Hill Valley was done in Jamestown, California, and on a purpose-built set at the Red Hills Ranch near Sonora, California. Some of the train scenes were filmed at Railtown 1897 State Historic Park, a heritage line in Jamestown. Whereas the original film played to a more materialistic idea of success, Zemeckis considered Part 3 more of a, quote, human journey, unquote, with spiritual overtones.
And it's real. You're gonna like this one, Cole. Yeah. It's so great.
It really is. It really ties everything together, and just kind of gives that little tug at your heartstrings.
I think
that little bit of Americana.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
3 might be, because I can vaguely remember too. I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch it. Like, I'm surprised at how much of the first one, because I hadn't seen it in a long time until the other day. But 3, I like Cole, I'm aware of it. I just can't remember like if I've actually seen the movie.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be one that I'll have to go back to.
While I love them all, like 3 definitely holds a special place. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like it's
absolutely. I love them all too. Like, to me, it goes 3, 1, 2. Like that's my order is 3, 1, 2. I loved 1 for the longest time. I didn't see 3 until like maybe like years later. Like, I was still a kid, but I hadn't seen it until like way later.
And that's like something that, like, because Eddie, I know this is like I've known this is your favorite franchise of all time. So I'm like, okay, if 3 is the best one, I definitely have to watch it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I remember, because I mean, the third one I know did. I don't remember. I already forgotten when the other 2 came out in theaters, but the third one came out just before my birthday.
Oh wow!
Right, and like I absolutely remember sitting there in the theater watching the Back to the Future logo come up, and I was just like, I was so fucking stoked. I was so excited.
It's like, it's almost. I feel like it's almost akin to that feeling that I don't know if I hope all you guys got it too, but when The Force Awakens came out and you're sitting in the theater because you're like, totally. I'm like, I have not sat in a theater for a Star Wars movie since, episode 3, like, or episode 1, I should say.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here just like, and then the lights go out and that Lucasfilm comes
Yeah.
on, and then you get the
I
comes
bawled
up.
my eyes out.
It's that
I
exciting.
cried so hard. And
'Cause
I'm
it's
like,
like-
the movie hasn't even started.
It's like you didn't. I mean, except for the prequels, like none of us had a chance to sit in a theater and see a Star Wars movie like opening day.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
So
absolutely.
like
I
when you
actually-
go to that, Derek, and you see like because you've seen the other two, and you see that logo come on, like that's what it reminded me of.
And
Oh,
see,
yeah. No, and it is.
I've
It's just
never,
like that.
since The Force Awakens, I've never seen a Star Wars film in the theaters. Like, I'd never seen one.
I saw
So-
all three of the prequels in theaters.
See, I
All
never
three
saw
of
the
them.
prequels in theaters or nothing like that. I saw The Force Awakens in theaters, and it was just like,
One of them, I think it was episode 3. I went to by myself. Like I didn't give a fuck. I was like, I'm going to see this movie.
I have really good memories of episode 3 because I remember. So I saw 1 and 2 in the theater, but I don't think it was opening weekend. But, yeah, oh my god. We went to opening night for episode 3, and I just remember my dad waking me up, and he's like, "Hey, want to go to Star Wars?" I was like, "Fuck yeah, I want to go to Star Wars." And it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and we didn't get home till like 5, and I was like, I gotta go to sleep. I gotta go to school, and he's like, "You ain't gotta go to school."
Well, see,
I don't
okay,
mean
so-
to go on like
My dad's a
a
badass.
Star Wars off-topic tangent, but that
Is where we
scene
are.
where that music plays. First of all, like I am obsessed with that song, and that song
Duel of
coupled
the
with the
Fates.
lightsaber fight
Oh,
scene,
yeah.
like best thing to
That's
happen
the
in like
greatest thing that
cinematography
happened.
ever.
Well, it's the best thing that happened to the prequels.
yeah, just
like
hands down.
And I'll go a step further and say Ray Park is the best thing that happened to the prequels.
Yeah.
Ray Park,
I really liked Taken guy. What's his name?
Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson.
Well, no, yeah,
I thought he was like the most badass Jedi ever.
right, absolutely. But here's the thing: the dude who was supposed to play Darth Maul didn't. Okay, so what was
Didn't play his voice,
no,
right?
no didn't play the
Ray Park was
actual
everything.
person. Like, so they were having Ray Park train a guy to be Darth Maul and to
Yeah.
be able to do all the lightsaber stuff. I don't know the details of it, but basically in the end, guy couldn't hack it, and they said, "Fuck it, Ray Park, do it live." And so
Stunt guys in.
yeah, and so Ray Park did
Stunt
the whole
cock.
thing. He did all of it.
So I know it was Ray Park, but didn't somebody else do his voice?
I don't.
Somebody else did the voice.
I don't remember.
I mean, he doesn't really talk
Yeah.
at all, so it doesn't
Like, he's
really
only
matter.
got
But I
a
remember
couple
hearing
words,
something about
but-
how he didn't do the voice.
So here's my little fun Star Wars tidbit. So what was it?
I love Star Wars. Just hijack the shit out of
I know,
this
right?
podcast.
Episode 5 came out when I was born.
As it does.
I'm not
the
sure
fucking
what,
way she goes, boys.
not sure what that means.
he
But
meant
Like-
like taking it over as
Like he just
Yeah.
Star Wars can take everything over.
it takes
like,
over
doesn't
the
matter.
conversation. and all that.
episode 6 came out when I was 3. So even if I had been taken to it,
God, you're old.
I wouldn't really remember it. However, Ewok Adventure. Do you remember that?
Holy shit!
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay, so Ewok Adventure was a TV movie, obviously surrounding the Ewoks and this little girl, Sindel, which is who Sin is named after.
You're right. Yeah.
But anyway, so that shit I remember the fuck out of, and I love that. Like, I could not watch that movie enough times when I was a kid. Like, that was the shit.
So, would you say that that number 3 is your Empire for
Yeah.
Back to the Future?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
The shooting of the Back to the Future sequels, which shot back-to-back throughout 1989, reunited much of the crew of the original. The films were shot over the course of 11 months, save for a 3-week hiatus between filming of parts 2 and 3. The most grueling part was editing part 2 while filming part 3, and Zemeckis bore the brunt of the process over a 3-week period. While Zemeckis was shooting most of the train sequences in Sonora, Gale was in Los Angeles supervising the final dub of part 2. Zemeckis would wrap photography and board a private plane to Burbank, where Gale and engineers would greet him on the dubbing stage with dinner. He would oversee the reels completed that day and make changes where needed. Afterwards, he would retire to the Sheraton Universal Hotel for the night. The following morning, Zemeckis would drive to the Burbank airport, board a flight back to the set in Northern California, and continue to shoot the film.
Jesus Christ.
Sounds like this Zemeckis guy kind of went through the ringer to do this
So would
shit.
you call that step the final dub step?
We let the bass cannon kick it, bang.
And then you gotta laugh like George.
Ooh, time to change that oil.
You know, and it kind of goes back to the point where it's like, you know, this guy went through some shit to make these movies, and it's like these movies wouldn't have been as good if he didn't.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's the same thing with Red Dead. It's like this game did not get made on a 9-to-5 schedule.
No.
Sacrifices have to be made.
And
to
it
make
took
that
like
shit as
8
good as it
years.
is.
And they took, what was it? Like, what did I say? A $3 million hit to recast?
Yeah.
You know,
to reshoot, wasn't it?
No, to recast
To
and then
recast,
reshoot.
yeah, Crispin's part.
No,
To
Marty.
recast with, Michael J. Fox with Eric Stoltz.
Oh, okay. I thought we were talking about how he
No.
didn't come back. And...
No, they just sort of dropped him off the face
Oh,
of
yeah,
the
that's
fucking
right.
earth.
That's right.
The role of Clara Clayton was written with Mary Steenburgen in mind. When she received their script, however, she was reluctant to commit to the film until her kids, who loved the original, hounded her.
Good job, kids.
Lloyd shared his first on-screen kiss with Steenburgen in Part 3. The Hill Valley Festival dance scene proved to be the most dangerous for Lloyd and Steenburgen. Overzealous dancing left Steenburgen with a torn ligament in her foot. The film also starred veteran Western film actors Pat Buttram, Harry Carey Jr., and Dub Taylor as 3 saloon old-timers. Buttram was also known to younger audiences for his extensive voice work, particularly as the Sheriff of Nottingham in the Disney version of Robin Hood.
Hell yeah.
The inclusion of these notable Western actors was promoted in several documentaries about the film, as well as in the behind-the-scenes documentary of the DVD and in the obituary of one of the actors. The musicians of the Old West-style band in the film were portrayed by ZZ Top. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
You'll notice the saloon old timers,
Yeah.
because you'll hear one and you'll notice them right off the bat.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, "Well, what are them moccasins saying, Nikkei?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Other iterations of the franchise include an animated television series, Back to the Future, the animated series, which ran on CBS for 2 13-episode seasons in 91 and 92. A comic book series published by Harvey Comics in 92 detailing further adventures of the animated series, books that expanded on the movies by adding scenes, characters, and dialogue, often culled from early draft scripts, various video games for platforms such as Atari ST, ZX Spectrum, Commodore 64, Master System, Genesis, Nintendo Entertainment System, Super Famicom, and PlayStation with the Telltale series.
On January 31st, 2014, it was announced that a stage musical adaptation of the first film is in production. The show, which will be co-written by original writers Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale, was expected to premiere in 2015, but got pushed to 2016. According to Gale, the musical will be, quote, true to the spirit of the film without being a slavish remake, unquote. The musical is part of the 30th anniversary of the original film, and in 2015, Fox and Lloyd starred alongside popular YouTube science personality Go Tech Yourself in an extended Toyota commercial for Toyota's new fuel cell vehicle, the Mirai, entitled Fueled by the Future. The commercial doubled as a tribute to the franchise and illustrated how the idea of converting trash into fuel had become a reality. The commercial was released on October 21st, the same date to which Marty, Doc, and Jennifer traveled in Back to the Future Part 2.
Rad.
That's awesome.
I mean, for not wanting to predict the future, Back to the Future did so many things that were totally conceivable, you know?
And for that little tidbit right there, just for a commercial, that they
Yeah.
did all of that and a callback, like,
Right.
that's awesome.
It just goes to show that there's incredibly intelligent people out there working on some really cool shit.
Yeah.
Doc Brown Saves the World is a 2015 direct-to-video short film directed by Robert Zemeckis and starring Christopher Lloyd as Emmett Brown. The short is featured in the 2015 Blu-ray and DVD release of the franchise's 30th anniversary. The short was written by Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale and produced by Bob Gale and Neil Kenton through Amblin Entertainment. Music for the short was performed by Alvin Silvestri. The short was released in the United States on October 20th, 2015. Emmett Brown is in an undisclosed location outside of Hill Valley, California. He sets a video camera to automatically track his body in order to videotape a message for Marty McFly. He explains that it is October 21st, 2015, 1 hour before Marty, Doc, and Jennifer Parker arrive from 1985.
Cole, is that what you got on, or what you have coming to you? Is that trilogy?
Yeah, let me show you.
Because I'm curious about that.
Yeah, I want to see that.
That's why I got it, is because I was like, this has got everything on it, so this is what I want. It's just this one. I don't know if it's
yeah,
the
no,
2000
that's the
that's
30th
it.
anniversary.
That's the
Okay.
30th anniversary.
We
Fuck
should
dude.
check that out.
I got it's on the way.
All right, this week or next weekend.
Just curious,
Actually,
what
I
did
didn't
you
read that.
When is it
2 to
coming?
4 weeks. So I'll let you guys know when I get
out of curiosity, how much was that?
it. $20.
What?
Shut
Shit,
the
dude.
fuck up.
I might have-
$21.
Fucking
I
way.
might have to get that.
I might have to, yeah, fuck yeah.
21
Damn.
21 Savage.
21?
21.
20, what?
You
fucking
stupid. You stupid.
You stupid.
So that concludes our episode for Back to the Future. We apologize to our guest Christopher Lloyd. Apparently you're traveling time right now and you just couldn't join us.
It appears he went back to the future.
Dun dun dun.
Oh, he said it.
I mean, I've got a couple pops of him, so it's like he's here.
That's true.
One of them signed, so it's he might as well be here.
He's here in spirit.
Yes.
As always, you can follow us on social media.
On Facebook at the Nerd Corporation, a podcast.
On Twitter and Instagram at NerdCorp Podcast.
Or you can email us at thenerdcorporation@gmail.com.
And if you're looking to travel into the DeLorean with us from 1885 to 2015, subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/nerdcore podcast. Several tiers of loot to have access to, including stickers and t-shirts to prizes and giveaways. For the Nerd Corporation, my name is Eddie Lyon.
I'm Cole.
Derek.
And I'm Nick.
Peace.
Peace out. Peace out.
Peace out, guys. Later.